It's just as I thought. It's really them. Yun Chujio said excitedly. Di Baiming was also very happy. Finding Yun Chujio's foster mother would allow him to know the origin of the seed. Perhaps he could find a way to get rid of the Guaichao. However, how could he save the two of them? If the two of them were in the Tianxian continent, it would not be a problem. The key problem now was that they were in the Netherworld continent. Although there were some spies from the Temple of Immortals there, it was extremely difficult to save them. The Saintess Hall was located in the center of the Netherworld Hall. It would take a lot of effort to get a portrait of the Saintess, let alone to save Xingyan in the Tianyuan continent. Di Baiming and Yun Chujio discussed and decided that the safest way was to kill Vice Palace Master Lu first and then think of a way for the Saintess to ascend to the position of Xingyan. If that was the case, not only would the Saintess regain her freedom. Moreover, it was also a good way to resolve the root cause of the peace between the Tianyuan continent and the Netherworld continent. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Prince Charming, I have an idea. See if it works. The Netherworld Hall has invaded our Tianyuan continent many times. Why don't you gather all the major forces of the Tianyuan Grand Ceremony to attack the Netherworld Hall? Di Baiming frowned. Little Gio, it's not that we have never thought of attacking the Netherworld continent, but the spiritual energy in the Netherworld continent is much weaker than our Tianyuan continent. Our spies have been hiding for many years before they adapted to it. If the people of the Tianyuan continent enter the Netherworld continent's territory, their spiritual energy will be greatly reduced. Moreover, we don't have the geographical advantage nor the people. There's a high chance that we will return in defeat. Prince Charming, I'm not done yet. Bringing people to attack them is just a diversion. I'll secretly sneak into the Netherworld continent and think of a way to sneak into the Netherworld Hall. It'll help my mother turn the tables on them. When the time comes, we'll attack from both inside and out and kill that old bastard, Vice Palace Master Lu. This is called cultivating in the open while hiding in the dark. Yun Chujio said proudly. Di Baiming's face immediately darkened. Little Gio, what did I tell you before? Have you forgotten everything? You better put this idea out of your mind as soon as possible. I will never allow you to take risks alone. Your idea is feasible. I will send someone else to do it. Yun Chujio stuck out her tongue. Prince Charming, I'm just making a suggestion. I know it's too risky, but my mother and father will only believe me if I go. Besides, I'm so smart. Your subordinates aren't as smart as me. No matter how many reasons you have, it won't work. Let's not talk about other things. Almost everyone in the Netherworld Palace has seen your portrait. You'll be exposed if you go. Even if your appearance isn't recognized, your spiritual power will be easily recognized. Once you're recognized, do you still have a way to live? So, you better get rid of this thought right now, or I will not forgive you. Di Baiming said with an even gloomier expression. I know. I was just saying. It would be great if there was something that could change one's appearance. As for spiritual power, I will not use it. Yun Chujio pouted and said. Di Baiming was afraid that Yun Chujio would cause trouble, so he repeated it a few times in a very serious manner. Yun Chujio simply kissed her and finally stopped. The next day, Di Baiming and Yun Chujio did not go out for a stroll. The two of them continued to discuss the matters of the Netherworld Hall. At this moment, Di Baiming's voice transmission talisman started to vibrate. After Di Baiming sent his divine sense in, he smiled and said, Little Gio, my master is here. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Really? Where is he? Yun Chujio was also very excited. She had always heard that the pretty boy had an awesome master, but she had never seen him before. This time, she could finally see him. The master of the pretty boy should be an old immortal with a sage-like demeanor. Master has already arrived at the entrance of the inn. Let's go out and welcome him. Di Baiming and Yun Chujio had just arrived downstairs when they saw Enfeng respectfully accompanying an old man in. Yun Chujio almost tripped and fell. This was the gigolo's master, the old man from the heavenly lake? Damn, where was that immortal-like character? Where was that unworldly-like character? The old man in front of him had a wine gourd in his left hand and a drumstick in his right hand. He walked and gnawed on it as he walked. No matter how one looked at it, he looked like a piece of trash. "Master!" Beiming greeted the old man. The old man took a sip of wine and nodded. "This brat is not bad. He is already at the 8th level of the spiritual venerable realm. Is this little girl the little 9th who has been tricked by the Qi Ling many times?" Yun Chujio was very smart. She immediately bowed and greeted him obediently. "Greetings, master." The old man almost spat out the wine in his mouth. What the hell was a master? Beiming glared at Yun Chujio. That meant, don't mess around. Yun Chujio ignored him. She said to the old man with a smile, "Godmaster, you are my Prince Charming's master. It's most appropriate for me to call you Godmaster. Otherwise, I can call you master directly. I don't mind taking in another master." The corner of the old man's eyes twitched. He had heard of taking in disciples, but he had never heard of taking in a master. This little 9th girl was just like what Beiming said. She was really temperamental. "Little 9th girl, I heard that you have already taken Jiang Bujie as your master. I still have some relations with him. You can call me Martial Uncle." The Heaven Lake old man said as he drank a mouthful of wine. "All right, Martial Uncle, you've come a long way. It's been hard on you. Quickly go inside and rest. Shopkeeper Chi, hurry up and prepare tea and snacks for my Martial Uncle." Yun Chujio said eagerly. The old man of the Heaven Lake could not help but sigh in his heart. This was really a case of one thing conquering another. Bei Ming, this brat, was both furry and arrogant. In the end, he actually fell in love with such a little scoundrel. Who would have thought, who would have thought? The three of them sat down and chatted briefly. After that, the old man of the Heaven Lake said, "The main reason I came here this time is to see what exactly is going on with the Guai Chao in Little Jio's Dantian. Little Jio, give me your right hand." After Yun Chujio stretched out her right hand, the old man examined it. Then he said, "That Guai Chao has now become one with Little Jio's Dandan. In other words, you have to risk your Dantian to get it out." Yun Chujio's face twitched as she asked, "Is there no other way?" The old man sighed. "Ever since Bei Ming told me, I have been looking for a way. Other than taking out the Dantian, there is another way. That is to ascend to a higher level continent. Perhaps there will be a way to solve the Guai Chao." "Master, we have confirmed that the Saintess of the Netherworld Hall is Little Jio's foster mother. If we find her and ask her about the origin of the seed, will it help?" Beiming shook Yun Chujio's hand, indicating that she should not worry too much. "If we can find out the origin of the seed, it might be of some help. However, I heard that the Netherworld Hall is now controlled by Vice Palace Master Lu. The Saintess is like a puppet. I'm afraid it will not be easy to meet her foster mother," said the old man of the Heaven Lake, Xing Vi. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "Uncle Master, do you have any way to change a person's appearance, the kind that people can't recognize?" "Change one's appearance? That's not impossible. I refined a kind of disguise pill. After consuming it, a person's appearance will change." "Why are you asking this?" the Heavenly Lake elder asked in confusion. Beiming glared at Yun Chujio fiercely. "Little Jio, you better get rid of that idea as soon as possible." Yun Chujio ignored Beiming. She knew that he was just a paper tiger. She smiled at the Heaven Lake old man and said, "Uncle Master, my Prince Charming and I have come up with a way to deal with the Netherworld Hall. Since we have the disguise pill, it's much easier. I can think of a way to sneak into the Netherworld Hall and then help my foster mother control the Netherworld Hall. This way, I can kill many birds with one stone. It's simply too good." "Master, don't listen to her nonsense. Even if she could change her appearance, her spiritual power was so special that she would be exposed if she was not careful. Wasn't that the same as a sheep entering the tiger's mouth? If I have to go, I will go. At least I can still protect myself." Beiming glared at Yun Chujio and said, "You will be exposed if you go with that paralyzed face. How are you as smart as me?" Yun Chujio regretted immediately after she said that. It was over. She had said it without saying anything. Beiming's body was filled with cold air. If it wasn't for the presence of the old man from the Heaven Lake, he would have definitely dealt with Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio laughed dryly. Uncle Master, please judge. Am I right? The old man from the Heaven Lake thought for a moment. What little Gio said is not without reason. If she goes, it will be easier for her to gain the trust of the Saintess. Moreover, she has many wicked ideas and is more suitable to do this kind of thing. Biming, even if you change your appearance, your temperament will be too easy for others to find clues. Master, but little Gio has a heavenly thunder spirit root. Isn't it easier to be discovered? Biming was anxious. He didn't expect the old man to agree with Yun Chujio's bad idea. The heavenly thunder spirit root is actually a mutated fire spirit root. I can teach little Gio a cultivation technique and let her disguise as a fire spirit root. The old man said indifferently, Uncle Master, you are really a good Uncle Master of Tianyuan. You don't know that just because of this thunder spirit root, I don't dare to do bad things. I'm afraid of being exposed. It's good that I've learned your cultivation technique. I don't have to worry about being caught anymore, huh? The old man of the Heavenly Lake. Biming. Although the old man of the Heavenly Lake really wanted to take back what he said just now, he had already said it, so he could only pass the mantra to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said, Prince Charming, you can learn it with me. Your ice spirit root is suitable for water spirit and mutated spirit root. This way we can do bad things together. It feels good just thinking about it. Biming sighed and had no choice but to learn it with her. Both of them were extremely talented geniuses and had learned the cultivation technique in less than half a day. The old man from the Heaven Lake nodded secretly. This little ninth girl was indeed talented and intelligent. No wonder even the Tian Dao could not kill her. In time, she would definitely ascend to a higher level of the continent. After Yun Chujio learned the method to change her spirit root, she said fawningly, Uncle Master, you can give me that transfiguration pill too. The old man from the Heaven Lake took out a small porcelain bottle. The materials for the transfiguration pill are very difficult to gather. I only refined 2 batches of it. One pill only has the medicinal effect of 10 days. After 10 days, your appearance will return to normal. So don't forget to swallow another pill after the medicinal effect is over. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujio opened the porcelain bottle and saw that there were 5 pills inside. The old man of the Heaven Lake must have kept a few pills for himself. He thought to himself, this old man is really stingy. He only gave me 5 pills. If the old man of the Heaven Lake knew that she thought so, he would probably be so angry that he would pass out. He only refined 15 pills in total. He gave you 5 pills at once, and you are still not satisfied? Why are you so greedy? Uncle Master, please give me the prescription as well. You also know that I'm often cheated by Qi Ling. Maybe I can help you find the herbs you need. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said. The old man of the Heaven Lake laughed and scolded. You little girl, it's fake to help me find the herbs. Do you want to refine them yourself in the future? Hee half and half. Why are you and I still separated? Yun Chujio said shamelessly. The old man of the Heaven Lake finally understood why his silly disciple was taken away by this little girl. This girl was really shameless. The old man of the Heaven Lake dictated the pill formula. Yun Chujio understood that if she wrote it on a piece of paper, it would be easy to leak it. She thought to herself, this is also an old fox. Yun Chujio had most of the herbs needed to refine the transfiguration pill. There were only 2 herbs that she did not have. One was the lotus seed of the 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus, and the other was the dragon blood ginseng. If she had the chance in the future, she would just have to pay attention to it. These 5 herbs could last for 50 days. It was enough. Although he had the transfiguration pill and the cultivation technique that could change his spiritual power, Biming still did not agree to Yun Chujio risking her life. The old man from the Heaven Lake said, there are very few people who have seen my appearance. I will head to the River of Forgetfulness City near the Netherworld Hall immediately. When the time comes, little Gio can send me a message if she is in danger. I can also help out a little. Only then did Biming reluctantly agree. The three of them discussed the details in detail and decided on the final plan before leaving. Yun Chujio hopped back to the Tianyuan Academy, and after muttering to Dean Huangfu for a while, she finally returned to her own dormitory. In the following period of time, Yun Chujio found an old man and learned how to draw the sudden rupture talisman. Every day, other than attending classes, she would draw the sudden rupture talisman. This fellow thought to himself, "Damn it, this trip to the Netherworld continent is extremely dangerous, I have to be fully prepared." If she was provoked, she would blow up the Netherworld palace. Very soon, there was an explosive news. The Temple of Immortals had taken the lead and the various forces of the Tianyuan continent had united to attack the Netherworld continent in half a month's time. The Netherworld palace naturally would not sit still and wait for death. After receiving the news, they immediately organized their men to carry out a blockade. The two sides had formed a standoff at the boundary of the Burning Sky Wasteland. Although the situation was tense, everything was normal in the Tianyuan Academy. It was time for classes and trials. Yun Chujio's 5th grade students rushed to a place called the Falling Eagle Slope for trials. Deputy Dean Ian had already hooked up with the people of the Netherworld Palace, so he naturally reported this news to Vice Palace Master Lu. Although Vice Palace Master Lu wished he could send people to the Falling Eagle Slope to kill Yun Chujio, he could not spare any manpower in the face of a great enemy. However, he heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. It was a good thing that the two armies did not have Yun Chujio as their enemy. At this moment, Yun Chujio had already sneaked out of the gap in the array formation of the Fallen Eagle Slope as she had discussed with Deputy Dean Xiao, who was leading the team, and headed straight for the Blazing Sky Wilderness. Yun Chujio had already taken the disguise pill. Other than her eyes, the rest of her body had changed. She had become a delicate and pretty little girl. Most importantly, her complexion had become a little dark. Even those who were very familiar with Yun Chujio would not be able to recognize her. Yun Chujio used the mirror to look at herself. She was very satisfied. The Netherworld continent, here I come. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujio took advantage of the high moon and the dark wind. Under the deliberate concealment of de-biming, she finally slipped into the Netherworld continent's territory. The Blazing Sky Wasteland was very large. Although the Netherworld Hall's people took turns to patrol, they still allowed Yun Chujio to find a loophole to escape from the battlefield. The Netherworld continent's spiritual energy was indeed much weaker than the Tianyuan continent's. No wonder they wanted to absorb the spiritual energy of the Black Netherworld Stone. However, to Yun Chujio, this little pervert, it basically did not have any effect. Yun Chujio followed the map sent back by the spies of the Temple of Immortals and headed to the River of Forgetfulness City. She planned to meet the Old Man of the Heaven Lake first, then contact the spies of the Temple of Immortals and think of a way to sneak into the Netherworld Palace. The Blazing Sky Wasteland was tens of thousands of miles away from the River of Forgetfulness City. Naturally, she could not walk there. Yun Chujio also felt that it was a little eye-catching to drive a flying spirit tool. Therefore, after leaving the Blazing Sky Wasteland, she came to a small city called the Blazing Sky City. She was prepared to take a flying spirit tool that was specially designed to carry passengers to the River of Forgetfulness City. Yun Chujio had always been pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, so she had adjusted her spiritual power to the 8th level of the spirit sect. The clothes that Yun Chujio was wearing were female clothes that she had found from the storage ring of the Dark Nether Hall's secret guard who had been killed. Therefore, she was no different from the locals. In addition, she only looked delicate and pretty, so she did not encounter any trouble. Through asking around, she found a trading firm that specialized in carrying passengers. Coincidentally, there was a flying spirit tool that was flying to River of Forgetfulness that afternoon. Yun Chujio took out the nether stone, bought a ticket, and left the trading firm. There was still more than 2 hours before the flight. This fellow had a big heart. He strolled around the small city and bought a lot of food before returning to the trading firm. There were already some cultivators gathered in the trading firm. There were men, women, old, and young. Yun Chujio felt like she was waiting for a plane at the airport in her previous life, and she thought of Yun Chi again. Chi, Chi, I don't know if you will also transmigrate. If you don't come over now, Wu Jie's head will probably be forced by his father to get married successfully. Just as Yun Chujia's thoughts were running wild, a large flying spirit tool appeared on the street. Everyone used the token of the trading firm to board the flying spirit tool one after another. Yun Chujio bought a ticket to the hall. It was not that she did not have the Netherworld stone, but that she was prepared to inquire about some news in the hall. A place with a lot of people would have gossip. Perhaps she would be able to hear some useful news. The hall was mostly filled with cultivators who did not have much money on hand. Most of them were men. Yun Chujio caught a glimpse of a middle-aged woman with a little boy, so she sat next to her. Yun Chujio wanted to be close to the woman, so she took out some snacks that she bought in Skyburn City and gave them to the little boy. The woman rejected them a few times, but when she saw that Yun Chujio was sincere, she accepted them. After a while, the two of them started chatting. "Little girl, what's your name?" "Aunt, my name is Lin Chujio." Yun Chujio remembered that her adoptive mother had once named her Lin Biyun, so she gave herself such a fake name. "So it's Miss Chuchu. My husband's family name is He. You can call me Auntie He. Where are you going?" the woman asked. This kind of flying spirit tool that carried passengers would pass through many towns on the way, which was why the woman asked this question. "Auntie He, I'm going to forget Chuan City," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Although her appearance after the disguise was ordinary, her smile was very pleasing. "That's really a coincidence. The two of us are also going back to the River of Forgetfulness City." Yun Chujio's heart moved. She said, "Go back," which meant that she was originally from the River of Forgetfulness City. That's not bad. I can take the opportunity to learn some things about the River of Forgetfulness City. "And He, so you're from the River of Forgetfulness City? That's great. I haven't been to the River of Forgetfulness City before." "Miss Chuchu, are you also going to the Netherworld Palace to participate in the election?" "I'm a straightforward person, don't be unhappy. Your looks are too ordinary. I'm afraid you won't be chosen by the saint," the woman said straightforwardly. Sheng Envi's words were straightforward. Yun Chujio was stunned. To the Netherworld Palace? Sheng Envi? What did that mean? Although Yun Chujio was confused, she did not show it on her face. She said with a little disappointment, "Aunt, you are right. My appearance is indeed a little ordinary." The woman saw that Yun Chujio was a little disappointed and immediately felt a little guilty. She immediately added, "Miss Chujio, my mouth is not good. Don't take it to heart. Maybe Sheng Envi is not looking at my appearance." The woman continued to babble on and on. Yun Chujio also understood the general situation. A few days ago, the Netherworld Palace suddenly posted a notice. The gist was that the saintess felt that she was not feeling well and wanted to choose a successor. This was because the saintess was the successor of Sheng Envi. All unmarried women under the age of 25 on the Netherworld continent could participate in the registration. After 3 rounds of testing, 3 winners would be selected. Then, the saintess would choose one to be the successor to Sheng Envi. Yun Chujio could not help but feel puzzled. This was a good opportunity to enter the Netherworld Hall. Why didn't the Gigolo's insider tell him? In fact, the insider had really reported this matter to Di Biming, but Di Biming felt that it would be easy to be exposed if he went in like this. He might as well go in as a maid and slowly plan it out. Therefore, he did not tell Yun Chujio about the selection of the saintess. Yun Chujio felt that this opportunity was very good. As long as she became one of the 3 victors, she would have a direct chance to meet the Sheng Envi. If she became the successor, then it would be even more awesome. Damn it, at that time, she would be able to directly rule the Netherworld continent. Whoever was unconvinced would be killed. Just thinking about it was very wonderful. This fellow did not even think about how many young girls there were in the entire Netherworld continent. With her current appearance and spiritual power, how could she possibly win? Alright, this fellow had this kind of mysterious confidence. It was a 2-day and 2-night journey from Sky-Burning City to Forget Chuan City. In the middle, there were new passengers coming up one after another. Moreover, most of them were young girls. It was likely that they were all going to participate in the selection for the successor of Xing. There was a limited number of private rooms for flying spirit tools. Although some young girls had money, they could only come to the main hall. Thus, all sorts of disapproving voices came out. TSK, you even said that this River of Forgetfulness Trading Company's flying spirit tool is so high-end. I didn't expect that there would only be a few private rooms. If I had known earlier, I would have asked my father to give me a flying spirit tool. That's right. The smell here is really unpleasant. If it wasn't for the safety of the River of Forgetfulness Trading Company's flying spirit tool, I wouldn't have suffered like this. Forget it, bear with it. Anyway, we will arrive at River of Forgetfulness City tomorrow morning. Yun Chujio secretly curled her lips. How could such a brainless person participate in the selection of Xing? Unless the judges of the Netherworld Hall were blind. Just as Yun Chujio was complaining, someone walked up to her and said, "Hey, the three of you sit over there. We want this place." Yun Chujio looked up and saw a few arrogant women standing in front of her. The one who spoke was a woman with slender phoenix eyes. She was really not bad looking, but her tone was really not that good. She was bossy. It was as if she was instructing a servant. The middle-aged woman saw that although these young women were not willing to be overbearing, they did not want to cause trouble. She said to Yun Chujio, "Miss Chujio, since they like this place, let them have it. Let's go over there." Yun Chujio looked at the place that the woman pointed to. There were a few men sitting there, shouting and shouting. Naturally, it was not as quiet as this place, hence, Yun Chujio said faintly, "Aunt, if there is anyone who comes first and comes later, let's sit here. It's still quieter here so that Little Rock can sleep well at night." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Little Rock was the little boy. The woman hesitated when she heard Yun Chujio's words. It was indeed too noisy over there. It was not easy for the child to fall asleep at night, so the woman did not move. The few girls were unhappy when they saw that Yun Chujio and the woman did not move. One of the girls in red raised her voice and said, "Are you deaf? Get out of the way, or I won't be polite anymore. Jinji, you need to change your bad temper. Are they worth it? Get out of the way, these nether stones are yours." A girl in pink said and threw more than 10 nether stones on the ground. Yun Chujio's heart was burning with anger. She said calmly, "Sorry, we don't want to change the place. You can find someone else to change it." The young girl named Jinji was immediately angry. "Qinglan, people like this are shameless. They will behave after a beating. Ugly freak, are you going to let them go or not?" The woman saw that the matter had become a bit serious, so she quickly grabbed Yun Chujio's arm and said, "Miss Chujio, let's go over there." Yun Chujio's short temper was naturally not something she was willing to endure. However, when she thought of the purpose of this visit, she decided to endure for a while, so she found another place to sit with the woman. When Jinji saw that Yun Chujio and the others had retreated, she could not help but feel very proud. She said to the other young ladies, "TSK. Some people have to be taught a lesson. We might become Xing in the future. If you dare to offend us, you are courting death." Qinglan smiled. "You are really not shy. There are many people participating in the Xing selection. Are you that confident?" Jinji said arrogantly, "The selection of Xing is nothing more than family background, looks, and spiritual power. All of us are top-notch. Of course, the chances are higher. The only thing I miscalculated was that I should have taken the family's flying spiritual tool. But my father said that Vice Palace Master Lu doesn't like to show off extravagantly, so he insisted that I take this broken spiritual tool. And he didn't even allow me to bring a maid." That's right. My father said the same thing. This broken spirit tool is really suffering. Qinglan said with a faint smile, "Forget it. Since I'm already on it, besides, the River of Forgetfulness Trading Company's flying spirit tool is the safest. The elders will also feel more at ease." Yun Chujio's eyes flickered slightly, and she snorted coldly in her heart. These people are really naive. The successor of the Saintess was only a puppet. How could that old bastard, Vice Palace Master Lu, choose a woman with a good family background. If the chosen one had a good family background, how could he control it? Moreover, he wouldn't want someone with too much spiritual power, because those with too much talent would easily get out of his control. Therefore, she still had a very high chance of being chosen. The only thing that was lacking now was that her appearance was too ordinary. However, this young lady had a magical makeup technique. She would definitely be able to turn something rotten into something magical, little bastards. Just you wait to be abused. The woman softly consoled, Miss Choo Choo, bear with it for a while. These few young ladies clearly have extraordinary family backgrounds. There's no need for us to cause trouble. Yun Chujio nodded. However, she thought in her heart that it was not too late for little Jio to take revenge. It would be fine if there was no chance, but if there was a chance, she would see how she would deal with these little bitches. A day later, the Flying Spirit Tool arrived at the River of Forgetfulness Trading Company in River of Forgetfulness City. Everyone disembarked from the Flying Spirit Tool one after another. After Yun Chujio and the woman parted ways, they headed to the Light Wind Inn, where the Temple of Immortals had secretly met up. Yun Chujio could not help but curse inwardly. The pretty boy's family really liked the word wind very much. It was fine if the name of the secret guard carried wind, but even if they built an inn, it would still belong to the wind generation. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujio walked into the Light Breeze Inn and spoke in the code that they had agreed on beforehand. After that, the chubby manager Yuan brought Yun Chujio to a superior room. Yun Chujio looked at Manager Yuan's figure and could not help but be secretly happy. This Manager Yuan's surname and his figure really matched each other. They were both round and round. Your subordinate greets the 9th Miss. Shopkeeper Yuan knelt down and saluted. Get up. I want to participate in the selection of the successor of the Xing NV. You must immediately help me get an identity. The background must be ordinary, and it would be best if it's an orphan girl who doesn't have any relatives. Oh right, my name is Lin Chuchu now. From now on, you can call me Miss Lin or Miss Chuchu. Yes, Miss Lin. Shopkeeper Yuan felt that Yun Chujio would be very difficult to be selected. However, even though he was far away in the Netherworld continent and had heard of the great achievements of this 9th Miss, he did not dare to look down on her at all. Moreover, this little girl was really too bold. Just her courage alone was enough to make people admire her. The old man of the Heaven Lake was also staying at the Light Breeze Inn. Therefore, after Yun Chujio gave shopkeeper Yuan instructions, she went to see the old man of the Heaven Lake. Yun Chujio told the old man of the Heaven Lake about her idea. The old man of the Heaven Lake felt that this idea was not bad. However, he still reminded her, little girl, safety is the most important thing. It doesn't matter if you can't be chosen. When the time comes, you can think of another way to sneak in. So don't force yourself. Yun Chujio nodded. Uncle Master, don't worry. I cherish my life the most. Moreover, it's just the selection of the Xing NV. There won't be any danger. Many of the young girls participating in the selection are from big families. The Netherworld Hall won't let the participants' lives be in danger. The old man of the Heaven Lake nodded. Then he said in a low voice, what you said is not without reason. Vice Palace Master Lu wants to find an obedient puppet, so it is not bad for you to have the identity of an orphan girl. Moreover, your spiritual power is also low. It is just that your current appearance is still a little lacking. Yun Chujio smiled slyly. This is easy to handle. I have a magical makeup technique. When I sign up tomorrow, I will dress up properly. I will definitely pass the test. The old man of the Heavenly Lake was skeptical. He gave a few more instructions before Yun Chujio returned to her room. Yun Chujio thought for a moment. She had to go buy some makeup powder. Thus, she left the Breeze Inn and walked toward the street where the shops in the River of Forgetfulness were most concentrated. Soon, Yun Chujio found a shop that sold makeup powder and walked in. Although the shop assistant saw that Yun Chujio was wearing ordinary clothes, his attitude was not bad. He helped Yun Chujio introduce the rouge and cosmetics in the shop. While Yun Chujio was choosing, Someone said disdainfully, Qing Lan, some people really overestimate themselves. The things in Fragrant Snow House are not something ordinary people can afford. Buddy, don't waste your energy. That poor girl can't afford the things here. Yun Chujio turned around and the one who spoke was Jin Ji. It was really a narrow road for enemies. Jin Ji, Qing Lan, and a few others also came to choose Blusher. Yun Chujio ignored her and said to the waiter, this, that, and the few things over there, give me 5 of each. The waiter was overjoyed. This girl might not be able to see through it, but she was really generous. This was something that several customers had bought. He quickly said, Miss, please wait a moment. I will help you pack your things. Waiter, you'd better let her pay first. Otherwise, you'll be wasting your joy. Jin Ji pursed her lips. In her heart, she was sure that Yun Chujio was pretending to be fat. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The waiter could not help but hesitate when he heard Jin Ji's words. These rouge powder would cost at least tens of thousands of nether stones in total. That lady was wearing average clothes, so how could she take it out? Jin Ji saw that the waiter's hand movements had become slower. She looked at Yun Chujio with disdain. Ugly freak, do you think this is a place where you can come? Can you afford it? Besides, with your ugly appearance, do you deserve such good rouge powder? Yun Chujio still ignored him and said to the waiter, just pack it up. I'm not short of money. The waiter thought that at worst, it would be a waste of time. What if this girl was really rich? This was a big deal, so he quickly packed the few things that Yun Chujio asked for. After the waiter packed the things, he said to Yun Chujio, Miss, please follow me here to settle the bill. The cashier quickly calculated the price. Miss, a total of 12,500 netherworld stones. Jin Ji's face was full of pride. Pretend, let's see how you pretend this time. The other girls also had gloating expressions. This poor girl definitely wouldn't be able to take out so many netherworld stones. Let's see what she can do. The waiter also looked at Yun Chujio with a perturbed expression. He prayed in his heart, hoping that Yun Chujio could afford it. Yun Chujio frowned. More than 10,000 nether stones? Did you calculate correctly? Jin Ji immediately burst out laughing. Tsk, do you think this is a rundown shop in your countryside? The things here are of course very expensive. People have to know their own worth. You are clearly a poor person, yet you still dare to come to the Fragrant Snow House. You are really asking for humiliation. The other girls also burst out laughing. Their words were nothing but mockery and disdain. The waiter sighed with a sad face. It was really a waste of time. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujio continued, I thought the things from the Fragrant Snow House were very, very expensive. I didn't expect it to be so economical. I will transfer the nether stone to you now. After saying that, Yun Chujio transferred the nether stone to the cashier. The cashier's old face immediately smiled like a flower. Thank you for your patronage, miss. Xiao Shan, quickly hand the thing to this miss and give it away. The waiter also turned from worry to joy. He eagerly handed the big and small bags to Yun Chujio. Miss, you are welcome to patronize me again in the future. Take care. This 100 nether stones is for you. Miss, what I don't lack the most is money. Yun Chujio gave the waiter a tip of 100 nether stones. Then, she strolled out of Fragrant Snow House without saying a word to Jin Ji. Jin Ji's face was flushed red. Although Yun Chujio didn't say anything, her face was smacked so hard that she wished she could find a hole to hide in. Although the waiter and the cashier didn't say anything, Jin Ji felt that they were all laughing at her. She stomped her feet and said, I'm not buying anymore. Let's go. The other girls also felt embarrassed. They followed Jin Ji out of the Fragrant Snow House and discussed animatedly. I didn't expect that ugly freak to actually have so many netherworld stones on her. Truly detestable. That's right, but I reckon she's just trying to make herself look fat. Maybe she spent all those netherworld stones just to compete with us. Quick, look, isn't that ugly freak inside the brocade garden? She actually went to buy clothes again. Brocade garden's clothes aren't cheap. Could it be that she still has money? A girl pointed at a shop not far away and said. Ji looked in the direction the girl was pointing and saw the poor girl picking out ready-made clothes. She gritted her teeth and said, "Let's go and take a look." Lan gently advised, Ji, why bother with a poor girl who can't stand up to the public? Let's go somewhere else. Ji coldly snorted, Lan, I can't take this lying down. I must find my way back. Lan tried to persuade her, but seeing Ji insist, she could only follow her to Jin Xiuxian. A round-faced waiter of Jin Xiuxian was introducing a ready-made dress to Yun Chujio. Miss, this misty hibiscus dress is not only exquisite in material, but also has a certain defensive function. You will definitely look very beautiful in it. Yun Chujio nodded slightly. It looks good. Wrap it up. The round-faced waiter was about to say something when he heard Ji say disdainfully, beautiful and moving? No matter how well-dressed this ugly person is, she's still ugly. Besides, can you afford it? Another fat waiter in the shop quickly came over and said, Ladies, do you want to buy clothes? Please follow me. I'll introduce you to them. Ji snorted coldly. No need for introductions. I want this misty hibiscus dress. The round-faced man hurriedly said, Miss, this misty hibiscus dress has already been bought by this miss. Please choose another one. Ji snorted coldly. Bought? Didn't she not pay the money? What's the point of buying if she didn't pay the money? I'll give you double the price. Wrap this dress up for me. The round-faced man was in a difficult position. The fat man pushed the round-faced man aside and said with a flattering face, Of course, the one with the highest price will get it. Miss, please follow me to pay the money. Ji arrogantly followed the fat man to pay the money. She took the wrapped clothes and said arrogantly, If you don't have money, don't pretend to be fat. You bought a lot of rouge and powder, but you don't have money to buy clothes. How pitiful. I'm kind enough to tell you that there are a few shops in the north of the city that sell worthless junk. You can go there to buy one. Yun Chujio still ignored her and said to the round-faced man, That purple one is not bad. Wrap that one up for me. The round-faced man felt a little guilty because of what happened just now. When he saw Yun Chujio say that, he immediately said, Miss, wait a moment. I'll wrap it up for you right now. Wait, I want this one too. Double the price. Ji said arrogantly. The fat guy immediately said obsequiously, Okay, I'll wrap it for you. The round-faced guy was obviously bullied by the fat guy. The fat guy pushed him away and wrapped the purple dress that Yun Chujio pointed at for Ji. Ji had just paid the money when she heard Yun Chujio say, Buddy, wrap that lake blue dress for me. I want that one too. Double the price. Buddy, wrap up that tender yellow one for me. I want it. Double it. Buddy, wrap up that crimson one for me. I want it. Double it. Yun Chujio pointed at a piece of Ji and bought it for double the price. At first, Lan and the others were excited to see Yun Chujio make a fool of herself, but they realized that the matter had blown up. Ji bought a total of 40 to 50 pieces of clothes in one go, and she even bought them for double the price. This was not a small amount. Yun Chujio sighed, Since the good-looking ones have been bought by others, I can only not buy them. However, some people won't just be generous in words, but in fact they can't afford it, right? Ji snorted. Do you think I'm as poor as you? Buddy, how much is it? Miss, it's 523,428 pieces of nether stones. I'll make the decision to erase the change for you. You just have to pay 523,400 pieces of nether stones. The fat guy laughed so hard that he couldn't close his mouth. The shopkeeper knew that I sold so many pieces of clothes, so he must have given me a lot of money as a reward. I'm rich. Ji shouted in surprise. What? 520,000? Why is it so much? The round-faced waiter smiled apologetically and said, Miss, the clothes you chose are all the best products of our shop, and they are double the price. So the total is this money. If you are worried, you can calculate it yourself. Ji was also competing with Yun Chujio just now. She had never calculated how much these clothes cost. Now, she was a little dumbfounded. Although she had a lot of nether stones on her, she could not use them all to buy clothes. There were many places that needed money in the future. You don't have the money to pay the bill? That's good. Which one cannot be bought by you? I can buy it now. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Jinji gritted her teeth. Who says I can't afford it? Pack it up for me. I'll transfer the money right away. The fat waiter was naturally eager to buy it. He said flattery and packed up the clothes and handed them over to Jinji. Jinji endured the pain and paid the money. She was in no mood to stay any longer. She glared at Yun Chujio fiercely and then left. Qing Lan glanced at Yun Chujio a few times before she left. She didn't expect this poor girl to be so scheming. She had made that idiot Jinji suffer. Seeing that Jinji and the others had left, Yun Chujio pointed at a black and a white dress with a smile and said, Buddy, I'll take these 2 sets. The round-faced worker was already feeling a little guilty. Seeing that Yun Chujio had picked 2 more pieces, he quickly wrapped them up for her. The fat worker who was arranging the cloth curled his lips and said, You don't have the slightest insight. Can such a person afford it? You're really blind. The round-faced waiter did not say anything. After wrapping the clothes, he brought Yun Chujio to pay the bill. Yun Chujio gently pushed the fat waiter with her hand. Excuse me. The fat waiter pouted and moved to the side. He muttered, You really put on a good show. It would be strange if you could afford it. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujio not only transferred the nether stone to the cashier, but also said to the round-faced waiter, This is 500 nether stones as a reward for you. Stick to your heart. You will become a very good businessman in the future. The round-faced man was stunned at first, then he nodded excitedly, Thank you for your advice, miss. Yun Chujio looked at the fat man coldly again. The fat man felt a chill on his body and his legs could not help but feel weak. Just when he thought that Yun Chujio was going to kill him, he heard Yun Chujio chuckle. She left. The fat man wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and spat. He cursed, She's just a poor girl. Why are you pretending? Before the fat man could finish his sentence, he suddenly screamed, Ah, it hurts. Help. It hurts. The fat man rolled on the ground in pain. Just when he was about to look for the doctor to take a look, the pain miraculously disappeared. He was a little scared. Did I get my retribution for looking at others? Yun Chujio faintly heard the fat waiter's miserable howl and curled her lips. If I wasn't afraid of stirring up trouble, I wouldn't have let you off so easily. Yun Chujio bought a lot of delicious food before returning to the Long Wind Inn. Yun Chujio found the Old Man of the Heaven Lake and gave some of the food she bought back to the Old Man of the Heaven Lake. After she had a good impression of him, she returned to her room. After Yun Chujio returned to the house, she took out the rouge powder she had bought and began to fiddle with it on her face. After repeating it a few times, she finally got a satisfactory result. Only then did she wash up and rest in satisfaction. The next morning after breakfast, the Old Man of the Heaven Lake was reading in the house when he heard Yun Chujio say from outside, Uncle Master, can I go in? Come in. The old man thought to himself, What was this little girl doing here so early in the morning? Didn't she say that she was going to register today? Uncle Master, what do you think of my new clothes? The old man raised his head and was stunned. In front of him was a young girl dressed in white. Her facial features were exquisite, and she had an otherworldly aura. However, the young girl smiled. However, there was a hint of cuteness and liveliness in her smile. Little Gio? The Heaven Lake old man asked with some uncertainty. Uncle Master, my makeup skills are not bad, right? Do I have a good chance of passing the selection this time? Yun Chujio's voice also changed slightly. It was crisp with a hint of softness. Little Gio, you have such a magical method. Why did you ask me for a disguise pill? The Heaven Lake old man said after a moment of surprise. Uncle Master, you don't know this. Firstly, my makeup technique is doomed if it meets with water. Secondly, if you look carefully, you can see my original facial features, so you can only deal with it temporarily. It's better if you have a disguise pill. The old man from the Heaven Lake looked carefully and found that Yun Chujia's so-called makeup technique was to make the color of her skin whiter and more transparent. Her eyes were bigger, and her nose was firmer. Nothing else seemed to have changed. This makeup technique was really magical. The Heaven Lake nodded. With your current appearance, you are indeed more confident. However, don't take your guard down. Safety first. While the two were talking, shopkeeper Yuan requested to see him outside. After shopkeeper Yuan entered, he was shocked. He thought to himself, this ninth miss is really omnipotent. Has she changed her face? Manager Yuan calmed down and said, Miss Chujio, your identity has been fixed. Please take a look. Yun Chujio took it and took a look. Her new identity was an orphan girl in a small town not far from Burning Sky City. Her surname was also Lin and her name was Lin Yin. Her parents passed away due to illness when she was 10 years old. Lin Yin went missing after that. Yes, that's right. This name was changed to Lin Chujio after a huge change in the family. However, this Lin Yin wouldn't suddenly appear, right? Yun Chujio felt that this identity was not bad. Miss Chujio, don't worry. Our men accidentally saved this Lin Yin, so we know about this situation. But later on, this Lin Yin died in an accident, so there won't be any problems. As for her appearance, it's 50 to 60% similar to yours. Plus, she has changed 18 times since she was a girl, so the people in the town can't tell whether it's real or fake. This information was previously investigated by us, including the appearance of her parents. As long as you know it, it's fine, Manager Yuan said with certainty. Yun Chujio nodded her head in satisfaction. The pretty boy's subordinates were still very reliable. After all the preparations were done, Yun Chujio decided to go to the Netherworld Palace to register. The Netherworld Palace was more than 50 miles away from the River of Forgetfulness City, so Yun Chujio naturally could not use the chopping board. Therefore, this guy rented a Netherworld Windblade donkey from the carriage store in the River of Forgetfulness City and rode the donkey leisurely out of the River of Forgetfulness City. In the sky, young girls riding swords kept passing by. On the ground, there were also many young girls riding spirit beasts, but the only one riding a donkey was a weirdo like Yun Chujio. When Yun Chujio heard those sneers, she didn't think much of it. TSK, a bunch of ignorant fools. Many unworldly experts rode little donkeys, such as Zhang Guolong, Guoxiang, and Afandi. Although the Netherworld Windblade donkey looked a little rustic, its speed was still quite fast. Very soon, Yun Chujio arrived at the registration place. Yun Chujio was not worried that someone would steal such a low-level demon beast, so she found a tree, tied the donkey, and walked to the queue to register. The registration place could be described as a sea of people. After all, the saintess of the Netherworld Palace was of a relatively holy status. To be able to become a saintess was like ascending to the heavens in one step, and it could also bring huge benefits to the family. Therefore, almost all the girls who met the requirements came to register. Although there were many people, there were also many disciples of the Netherworld Hall who were in charge of accepting the registration. Therefore, the speed was not bad. Yun Chujio randomly picked a team to stand at the end of the line. The registration was obviously a preliminary screening. Some of the applicants with average looks were directly rejected. Yun Chujio could not help but feel lucky. Fortunately, I modified it a little. Otherwise, it would be easy for it to be rejected. After more than an hour, it was finally Yun Chujio's turn. The disciple in charge of the registration looked at Yun Chujio and felt that her appearance was not bad. Then, he handed Yun Chujio a form. Fill out this form and receive the registration jade token. Yun Chujio was filling out the form when she heard someone exclaim, "It's you! Why did you change your appearance?" Yun Chujio looked up and saw that the person who spoke was Jin Ji. Jin Ji had already finished signing up, but they were about to see if there was anyone who posed a threat to them when someone noticed Yun Chujio. Look, that person is not bad looking and the clothes he is wearing are of high quality. I wonder what kind of background he has. A young girl pointed at Yun Chujio and said. Therefore, Jin Ji curiously walked to Yun Chujio's side. She wanted to see how she filled in the registration form. When she saw the words Lin Chujio on it, she immediately exploded. Yun Chujio ignored her and slowly filled in the form and handed it to the disciple in charge. The disciple was about to hand the jade token to Yun Chujio. Jinji said loudly, "This ugly freak cheated. She doesn't look like this at all." Jinji's words immediately attracted the attention of many people. The disciple in charge of distributing the jade token frowned. "Miss, what do you mean by this?" Jinji glanced at Yun Chujio with disdain and said, "This Lin Chujio originally didn't look good. I don't know what method she used to become like this. She cheated. She should be disqualified from the selection." The disciple looked at Yun Chujio's appearance carefully and said in confusion, "There is nothing wrong with this young lady's appearance." "Humph. You let her wash her face so that you can see her original appearance. An ugly monster actually dares to dream of being the successor of the Xingyan. It's simply wishful thinking." Jinji thought of the more than 500,000 nether stones yesterday. She simply hated Yun Chujio to death. Yun Chujio looked at that disciple and smiled faintly. "Manager, is there a rule that forbids wearing rouge and powder in the registration rules?" That disciple was addressed as manager by Yun Chujio, and his heart was very firm. Compared to Jinji's arrogant appearance, his heart was biased towards Yun Chujio. He replied, "There isn't such a rule. Wouldn't it be normal for a girl to wear rouge and powder? This is your jade token. Please take it." Yun Chujio reached out and took the registration jade token from her disciple. After thanking her, she prepared to leave. She did not expect Jinji to be so anxious. She took out a basin of water from her storage ring and threw it at Yun Chujio. Jinji thought to herself, "Ugly freak, I'll show you your true form now." Unexpectedly, an oil paper umbrella appeared in Yun Chujio's hand. Yun Chujio was completely fine. However, water was splashed all over the place. Some of the water splashed onto some of the applicants. Those people had dressed up meticulously. Although it was not a big deal to be splashed with some water droplets, they were naturally very unhappy one after another. They cried out, "Really? Some people just have nothing to do," just like how she did not dress up. "I think she is jealous of that lattice beauty." That's right. The disciple in charge of the registration did not say anything, but she went to find fault with her son who owes her. One look and you can tell that she is looking for trouble for no reason. "Shh, lower your voice. I know that lady. I heard that she is the granddaughter of the Jean family head. She is not someone we can provoke. No wonder she's so overbearing. So she has a background. That girl is really unlucky. I wonder how she offended her?" Jinji's face turned red with anger. These idiots actually spoke up for this ugly freak. Moreover, even if this ugly freak was in this state, she was still far inferior to her. How could she be jealous of her? Yun Chujio glanced at Jinji with a faint smile and turned around to leave. Jinji stomped her feet angrily. For some reason, Jinji had a feeling that this Lin Chujio would become an obstacle for her. However, she thought to herself, "Ugly freak, so what if you have registered your name? I saw that you wrote orphan just now. How can a poor person like you compete with me? This is simply a dream." Just as Jinji was thinking about it, she saw Yun Chujio riding on a small donkey and leaving leisurely. She immediately laughed out loud. What a country bumpkin. He actually rode a donkey to come here. Such a poor person was nothing to be afraid of. 2 days later, the first round of the test began. This time, Yun Chujio did not ride a donkey. Instead, she hired a horse carriage and strolled to the Netherworld Palace. The girls who participated in the selection of the successor of Xingyan were divided into 10 groups. Yun Chujio glanced at them. Jinji and the others were not in the same group as her, which saved her a lot of trouble. Yun Chujio's group was brought to a room. The one who brought them in was a maid. The maid sized them up and said, "Wait here. We will test you later." At first, they were still waiting patiently, but after 2 hours, there was still no sign of them. They were a little uncertain. What's going on? Could it be that they left us here and no one cared? Yeah, or did they forget about our group? This is too much. Maybe the other groups have finished their tests. were really unlucky. As time passed, more and more people started discussing. Many people started discussing in twos and threes. Some people simply ran to the door to take a look. After another 2 hours, even more people could not hold it in anymore. Not only did they discuss in hushed voices, they even started to complain even louder. At this moment, a middle-aged female steward walked in, followed by 2 maids. Among them was the maid who had brought them in earlier. When the young ladies saw that someone had entered, they immediately regained their bearings. They thought to themselves, the test is finally about to begin. What a waste of time. One of the maids took out a list and read, Yu Shu Jing, Shen Zimo, Li Chanxian, Ning Xan Lin Chu Chu. Mo11. The above 20 people have passed the first round of the test. The rest will be eliminated. As soon as the maid finished speaking, the girls exploded. What? Didn't the test not start yet? How did the test results come out already? Could it be that it was all predetermined? Are you playing with us? We are not convinced. There is actually a conspiracy behind the selection of Xing and Vi. This is too much. The middle-aged female steward snorted coldly. The first round of the test is to test your temperament. As a saintess, the most important thing is that you have a calm temperament. You don't care about the good things and don't care about the bad things. Xing and Vi, look at you just now. It was only 4 hours, but you were so anxious that you were like ants on a hot pot. How can you become saintesses with your temperament? Some young girls said unwillingly, that's not fair. We didn't even know that the test had begun. If we knew, we wouldn't be anxious even if it was 10 hours, let alone 4 hours. Yeah, it's not strange if we didn't know. We didn't even know that the test had started. Yeah, give us another chance. The middle-aged female manager snorted coldly. As a saintess, you have to remember your identity as a saintess at all times. How could you inform Xing and Vi in advance? Moreover, there were countless unexpected situations that the saintess encountered. Would there be a chance to do it all over again? There's no need to say more. All of you have been eliminated. Leave quickly or I'll have the guards kick you out. Those young girls did not dare to say anything more and left with desolate expressions. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. But what bullshit attitude. This was to keep those who were obedient and eliminate those who were disobedient. They had to choose a puppet. The middle-aged female manager glanced at the remaining 20 people. Ling Ning said, from now on, you will call me Zhao Mama. From now on, I will train all of you together. The assessment will take place in 10 days. Those who pass will enter the second round of the assessment. The rest will be eliminated. Yun Chujio was stunned. They were going to train and then take the assessment? What was going on? Zhao Mama continued, you will be divided into 5 groups. 4 people will form a group. The test in 10 days will be conducted in groups. Only 1 group will pass the test. Therefore, grouping is very important to you. You can choose freely. If you still haven't decided after 15 minutes, I will randomly divide you into groups. Hearing this, the girls quickly started to look for companions. Naturally, girls with high spiritual power and good family backgrounds were in demand. Perhaps the second round of the test was to test spiritual power, so it would be easier for people with high spiritual power to pass the test. Most of the people here were around the 3rd level of the spiritual saint realm. Yun Chujio disguised herself as someone at the 8th level of the spiritual sect, so it was naturally not enough. Therefore, no one chose her at all. Yun Chujio was not in a hurry. In any case, there would always be 3 people left among the 20 people who were in the same group as her, so she just had to wait. 15 minutes later, 4 groups had been formed freely. They looked like they were laughing and laughing. There were only 4 people left, and one of them was Yun Chujio. Zhao Mama pointed at the remaining 4 people. Mo Wanwan, Lin Chu Chu, Lu Qin, and Zhou Yinghan, you 4 are in a group. Yun Chujio looked at the other 3 pitiful people who shared the same fate. As expected, they all had low spiritual power, and their family backgrounds were probably not that great. Otherwise, they would not have been left behind. The 5 groups were named after metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Yun Chujio's group was sadly named the Group of Earth. After Zhao Mama explained the rules, she said to the two maids beside her, Rushuang Rui, take them to the dormitory. The two maids brought Yun Chujio and the others around to a courtyard. The courtyard was very large. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was a palace. Other than a row of rooms, there was also a small square in the middle. It would not be a problem for hundreds of people to stand there. Yu Shuang said coldly, there are 6 dormitories here. The one in the middle is my room and Rui's room. You can choose the other 5. As for what method you use to choose, we don't care. We will gather here at midnight tomorrow. If you are late, you will be disqualified. After Yu Shuang said that, she entered the room in the middle with Rui. The girls looked at each other. Shen Zimo from the gold group said arrogantly, our gold group will choose the one in the east of the main house. You can choose the rest. After Shen Zimo said that, the 4 people from the gold group swaggered into the room. The 4 members of the gold group all had good family backgrounds, and their spiritual power was the highest, so they naturally had to choose the best one. Seeing this, Yu Shujing of the wood group hurriedly said, then well choose the one on the west side of the main house. The water group and the fire group had also finished choosing, so there was no need to choose the earth group. There was only a room on the west side that couldn't be illuminated by the sun. It seemed to have been modified like a warehouse, and its size was much smaller than the other rooms. Yun Chujio did not care at all. She took the lead and walked to the room. The other 3 followed her into the room. The light in the room was indeed a little dim. There were only 4 lonely beds in the room. There was nothing else. Yun Chujio directly sat on the innermost bed. She took out a quilt from her storage ring and spread it out. Then she crossed her legs and lay on it. She held a script that she had just bought and started reading it. The other 3 people were clearly a little confused. Didn't Lin Chujio look like a refined fairy just now? Why did she look like a joke now? The 3 of them also found a bed and imitated Yun Chujio. They took out a blanket and laid it on the bed. They cultivated, washed up, and washed up. Unexpectedly, none of them spoke to each other. As the sky gradually darkened, everyone remembered a crucial problem. Rushuang and Rui actually didn't tell them how to solve the problem of eating. Were they going to solve it themselves? Mo11 pushed the door open and went out for a walk. When she returned, after a moment of silence, she said, I heard the discussions of the other teams. Some of them went to ask Rui and Rushuang. They said that in the future, they will only provide 1 lunch a day. Whether they can eat their fill will depend on their own abilities. After hearing Mo11's words, Lu Qin said in a low voice, the 4 of us have the lowest spiritual power. How can we compete with the other teams? Fortunately, I brought some dry rations. We won't be hungry. Zhou Yinghan snorted coldly. It's not that we can compete just because we have high spiritual power. Let's see who can risk their lives more. The dumb are afraid of the unreasonable and the unreasonable are afraid of the reckless. I don't believe that they can fight harder than me just for a mouthful of food. Yun Chujio's words book almost fell to the ground. Damn, this Zhou Yinghan was really a tough woman. This name also matched. Zhou Yinghan, Zhou Yinghan. Yun Chujio could roughly tell the 3 people's personalities from their words. Mo11 was clearly more active, while Lu Qin was the kind of person who cleaned up after herself and didn't like to meddle in other people's business. There was no need to mention Zhou Yinghan. She was a tough woman. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Normally, cultivators would bring some food with them in their storage rings, but most of them were dry rations and the like. Naturally, they weren't as delicious as the food they cooked on the spot. Therefore, there would definitely be a good show to watch tomorrow at lunchtime. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Lu Qin took out a few steamed buns from her storage ring. After hesitating for a moment, she said, I have some steamed buns here. You guys can eat some first. Mo11 and Zhou Yinghan declined tactfully. They also brought some steamed buns with them in their storage rings. It was enough to last them for 2 or 3 days. Cultivators usually brought a lot of water with them in their storage rings. However, they only brought a limited amount of dry rations. After all, Demonic beasts were everywhere when they went out to train. They didn't have to worry about food at all. Moreover, they were here to participate in the selection of the successor of the Xing NV. How could they have thought that they would not be given food? Of course, a pervert like Yun Chujio was not an ordinary person. The food in her storage ring was more than enough to last 10 years, not to mention 10 days. Yun Chujio was really mean. She knew that the three of them didn't bring much food, but she shamelessly asked each of them for a bun or steamed bun, and then began to eat happily. The other three people saw that Yun Chujio could actually taste the delicacies of ordinary steamed buns and could not help but have a huge appetite. However, the food in their storage rings was limited. They did not know what would happen the next day, therefore, after everyone ate 2 buns, they stopped eating. After a long while, Yun Chujio, who ate for free, ate the most. After dinner, they naturally had to wash up. There was a well in the southeast corner of the courtyard. Mo Wan and the other 2 brought water back to wash up. The well water was very cool. It was fine to use it to wash their faces, but it was too cold to wash their feet. When the 3 of them frowned slightly, they saw Yun Chujio take out a big iron pot. "Pour the water in. I'll boil some hot water for you," Yun Chujio said with a smile. The 3 of them didn't understand, but they still poured the water into the big iron pot. Then, they saw a big fireball appear in Yun Chujio's hand. A moment later, the water in the big iron pot started to emit hot steam. Mo Wan and the other 2 were dumbfounded. Damn, the fire spirit root could be used in this way? However, Lin Chujio looked like a little fairy. What was the meaning of having a big iron pot in her storage ring? The 3 of them were slightly dissatisfied with Yun Chujio because she was a freeloader. However, their dissatisfaction was gone. It was such a blissful thing to be able to wash up with hot water. After the 3 of them washed up, Yun Chujio began to wash up. Mo Wan and the other 2 saw that the water in Yun Chujio's basin quickly turned muddy. When they saw Yun Chujio after wiping her face, the 3 of them almost cried out. "Oh my God! Is this Lin Chujio? How did she change from a little fairy into a little village girl after washing her face?" Yun Chujio giggled. "Are you guys very surprised? Don't worry, the little fairy will appear again tomorrow morning." The 3 of them looked at each other. "Who is this joker? Return our little fairy." However, after the initial shock, the 3 of them realized that Lin Chujio had just washed off the rouge and powder on her face. However, such an ordinary face could actually be dressed up like an otherworldly fairy. This makeup technique was too heaven-defying, right? The 3 of them had the same thought in their minds. If they had this makeup technique, wouldn't their looks be even more beautiful and moving? Mo Wan was more outgoing and said directly, "Chu, this makeup technique of yours is really amazing. When you have time, can you help me put it on?" Lu Qin and Zhou Yinghan also looked at Yun Chujio eagerly. Any woman's pursuit of beauty was endless. If they could make themselves more beautiful, why not give it a try? Yun Chujio giggled. "Of course, when I have time, I'll help the 3 of you dress up properly. I guarantee that you'll be beautiful. Do you want to learn? I can teach you. In the future, you can transform yourselves." Mo Wan and the other 2 couldn't believe their ears. Shouldn't such a magical technique be a secret? Lin Chuchu was actually going to teach them? Now, the 3 of them felt extremely ashamed. They had thought that Lin Chuchu was a freeloader, but they didn't expect her to not only help them boil hot water, but also selflessly teach them makeup techniques. Their previous thoughts were too one-sided. This Lin Chujio was really a kind and good girl. Yun Chujio looked at the 3 grateful lambs with a smile. Before fishing, she naturally had to give up some bait. The 3 mermaids were about to be caught. With makeup as a bridge of communication, the 4 of them quickly became familiar with each other. If they were not worried that they would not be able to get up the next day, they would definitely talk all night long. The next morning, Mo Wan and the other 2 got up one after another. Only Yun Chujio was still sleeping soundly. "Chu, get up. Otherwise, you'll be late." Mo Wan shouted at Yun Chujio's bedside. Yun Chujio got up with a stomach full of anger. Mo Wan could sense the low pressure on Yun Chujio's body. She took a few steps back and said, Chu, Get up quickly. You still have to put on makeup. Damn it. I have to get up early every day just to be beautiful. I'm so sleepy. Yun Chujio said through gritted teeth. Mo Wan Wan and the other two chose to remain silent towards Yun Chujio, who swore. What little fairy was just a floating cloud? This guy was just a little rascal. Yun Chujio got up and washed up randomly. Then she took out bottles and cans and applied them. Mo Wan Wan and the other two watched helplessly as Yun Chujio turned into a little fairy again. After Yun Chujio finished cooking, she looked at Mo Wan Wan and the other two. Why aren't you eating breakfast? You might torture us later. We won't be able to bear it if we don't eat. The three of them only cared about watching Yun Chujio lose her temper. Only then did they remember about breakfast. They quickly took out steamed buns and started eating. Although they couldn't bear to, they still gave one to Yun Chujio. This fellow, Yun Chujio, shamelessly ate another free meal. She smacked her lips. For lunch, we have to think of a way to get more. It's best if we bring out a portion of dinner and breakfast for tomorrow. I'm telling you, this might also be part of the assessment. Zhou Yinghan immediately said, Chu, you're right. The Netherworld Palace doesn't need this little bit of food from us. There must be something fishy going on here. Well, just fight for it with all our might at noon. Yun Chujio pointed at her own head. It's not worth it to fight with all our might for a meal. We have to use our brains to fight against them. All of you listen to me. I guarantee that we'll definitely reap a bountiful harvest. If Yun Chujio had said that after splitting up the group yesterday, the three of them would definitely not have bought it. However, Yun Chujio had already fed the bait to them and they had agreed after a slight hesitation. Yun Chujio was secretly happy. As long as she fired the first shot, the three little sheep would listen to her in the future. Yun Chujio babbled her thoughts, and the corners of Mo Wan Wan and the other two's eyes twitched. This guy was really too mean. However, this method was really good, and it would definitely succeed. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The four of them finished their discussion. Seeing that it was almost time, they left the house and went to the square. The other girls also came to the square one after another. They seemed to be much more familiar with each other than the day before, chattering non-stop with the group as a unit. When Zhao Mama came in from outside, she saw the girls chatting casually. Only the four members of the Earth group stood in a row with demure faces. Zhao Mama's eyes flashed. These four were not bad. They were obviously obedient. However, they were not obedient enough. If they were obedient fools, they would not be able to bear the responsibility of Xing and Vi. Zhao Mama coughed twice and the girls quieted down. However, they still stood casually. Zhao Mama gave Rushuang a look. Rushuang said with a cold face, You are here for the training, not to admire the flowers in the garden. Every row, for people stand properly. Look at the Earth group and then look at you. What a disgrace. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. This Rushuang must have done it on purpose. Wasn't this drawing hatred from them? But it was not a big deal. An outstanding person like her would sooner or later attract hatred. The other four groups of people, as expected, glared at Yun Chujio and the other four people and then lined up. Zhao Mama glanced at the crowd with a gloomy face. I don't care if you are the young ladies of the big families or the treasures of the family. In my eyes, you are all the same candidates. If there are any who oppose me, I will directly disqualify her from the test. Each of you has 10 points. If you make a mistake once, I will deduct the corresponding points. If all 10 points are deducted, you will not be qualified to participate in the second round of the test. Do you understand? I understand. Everyone replied. However, some people didn't think so. She was just a small steward. What could she do to us? Except for the Earth group, each person will be deducted 1 point, Zhao Mama said faintly. Immediately, someone protested. Zhao Mama, you didn't say that we should form a team before. It's not strange if you don't know. Don't deduct our points this time, right? Zhao Mama, today is only the first day. We really don't know. We will pay attention next time. That's right, Zhao Mama, please show mercy. Zhao Mama didn't say a word until those people felt that something was wrong. Zhao Mama then said coldly, "Everyone who spoke just now will be deducted 1 point. From now on, during the training process, unless I let you speak, you are not allowed to speak. If you speak, 1 point will be deducted." Although the young girls were very resentful, they did not dare to say anything more. 2 points had been deducted on the first morning, and they might not even be qualified to participate in the second round of the test. This Zhao Mama was really abnormal. Yun Chujio was very used to it. This was far from the training of the special agents in her previous life. What was the point penalty? The punishment from the training in her previous life was simply torturous. She wished she could die immediately. Zhao Mama continued, "I'll give you 15 minutes. Each group will choose a team leader." Mo Wanwan and the other two said at the same time, "Chu Chu, you'll be the team leader." Yun Chujio was really looking forward to it. She pretended to decline a few sentences and then agreed to it. After Zhao Mama had Rushuang register the team leaders. Then she changed the topic. "Today's training is very simple. You will maintain this posture for 4 hours. If there is any movement in the middle, 1 point will be deducted. If you cannot persist, you will be directly eliminated." Yun Chujio could not help but curse in her heart. Was she going to stand in a military posture? However, for cultivators, standing for 4 hours was not a problem. It was just that there might be some kind of trouble in the middle. The girls did not expect that the first day would be such a training content. Although they did not understand, they still stood obediently. Rushuang and Rui shouted from time to time, "Stand up straight. If you bend your waist, you will get a point deducted. Don't bend your legs. If you bend, you will get a point deducted. Put your hands on your sides. Don't move, or you will get a point deducted." 2 hours later, no one moved, and no points were deducted. Just when the girls felt that the content was too simple, Zhao Mama's lips curled into a cold smile. Zhao Mama raised her hand, and a cage appeared on the ground. Inside it were several golden spotted nether snakes. After those golden spotted nether snakes were released, they crawled toward the girls with their tongues sticking out. Snakes. The 4 girls standing at the front immediately cried out in surprise and subconsciously tried to dodge. Shen Zimo, Li Qianqian, Ning Xian and Lu Chuyue will be deducted 1 point each. Yu Shuang said coldly. The 4 girls were stunned at first, then they returned to their original positions with terrified expressions, afraid that they would get deducted points again. The golden spotted nether snakes were crawling around under everyone's feet. Seeing this, the girls could only grit their teeth and stand in their original positions. They were certain that these snakes would not attack them. If anything happened to them, the Netherworld Hall would not be able to answer to their families. After 15 minutes, the golden spotted nether snakes began to climb up the girls' legs. Immediately, some of them could not hold on any longer and started to pull the golden spotted nether snakes down in fear, letting out cries of alarm. 1 point deducted from Yuan Xianyue. 1 point deducted from Bai Xian. 1 point deducted from Lu Qin. Those golden spotted nether snakes should have been trained, so they only climbed onto the girls without hurting anyone. However, almost all the girls who were entangled by the golden spotted nether snakes would be unable to control themselves and pull the snakes down. This thing was really too scary. The sound of points being deducted kept coming. Zhao Mama glanced at the forms on the Rui pair. Only one person had not been deducted points. Lin Chujio? Zhao Mama looked at Yun Chujio and saw a golden spotted nether snake climb onto Yun Chujio's shoe. However, a moment later, the golden spotted nether snake retreated from Yun Chujio's shoe. It turned around and climbed onto the leg of a girl in front of it. The girl immediately cried out in surprise. Zhao Mama could not help but be stunned when she saw this. She had Rui drive a golden spotted nether snake towards Yun Chujio. Soon, the golden spotted nether snake also gave up and turned around to attack the other girls. Zhao Mama could not help but feel puzzled. When she wanted to drive the golden spotted nether snake to climb towards Yun Chujio again, 4 hours had passed. She had no choice but to drive the golden spotted nether snake back into the cage. Zhao Mama glanced at everyone. Some people have already lost 4 points in half a day. If you guys are still like this, I believe that someone will be eliminated very soon. Rest for 1 hour and I'll give you guys lunch. Well, gather on time after 1 hour. When everyone heard Zhao Mama's announcement, they immediately began to use the cleaning spell. This golden spotted nether snake was really too disgusting. Yun Chujio was staring at the door. It was almost lunchtime and they were about to start fighting for food. Just thinking about it made her a little excited. As expected, soon a maid came to the door of the courtyard. "Zhao Mama, I'm here to deliver lunch." Zhao Mama nodded slightly, indicating that the maid could come in. The maid walked to Zhao Mama's side and took out 2 large basins from her storage ring. One basin was filled with steaming stewed meat, and the other basin was filled with steamed buns. Although everyone already knew that this lunch was to be snatched, it was still too little. Not to mention 3 meals, even 1 meal might not be enough. Everyone was eager to try, but Zhao Mama did not say anything. They did not dare to rashly make a move. Moreover, steamed buns were easy to deal with. There was no spoon or anything like that for stewed meat. Finally, Zhao Mama said indifferently, "Let's eat." Just as everyone was about to start fighting, they heard a few people shouting loudly, "Look, what's that in the sky?" Everyone subconsciously looked up to the sky and found nothing. When they lowered their heads again, forget about the steamed buns and stew, there wasn't even a basin on the ground. Someone noticed the clues and immediately shouted angrily, "The food has been put into the storage ring by that Lin Chujio." Everyone looked at Yun Chujio angrily. When they thought about it again, they realized that the 3 people who had shouted earlier were the other 3 from the Earth group. They had done it on purpose. It was really too detestable. "Lin Chujio, hand over the food. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude." The leader of the gold group, Shinzimo, shouted loudly. The rest of the people also shouted, "That's right. Hurry up and hand it over. Otherwise, they'll teach you guys a lesson." Mo11 and the rest looked at Yun Chujio and thought to themselves, "I've already snatched all the food, but I've angered everyone. What should I do now? I've already provoked their jealousy and hatred in the morning, and now they hate us even more." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "I've indeed kept all the food, but am doing it for your own good. You're spouting nonsense. You obviously want to eat it all alone." Shinzimo said angrily. "Don't be so agitated. I'm not stupid. If I eat alone, will you spare me? I'm really doing this for everyone's good. Think about it. There are only so many dishes in total, and we only have an hour to eat. If we fight, we won't have time to eat lunch at all. Why don't we divide these dishes equally? Although we won't be full, we won't starve to death, right?" Yun Chujio said earnestly. Although everyone felt that it was a little suspicious, they couldn't find any fault with it at the moment. Shinzimo could only say, "In that case, you can divide it equally." "Okay. I am the person who is most willing to serve everyone. Come, stand in a row. We will bring you food. There aren't many people like us who help others." Yun Chujio said with a smile. Everyone could only stand in a row and take out their cutlery to wait for Yun Chujio to bring them food. Shinzimo was the first in line. Yun Chujio handed her 2 steamed buns and then gave her half a bowl of stewed meat. Well, to be exact, there were only a few pieces of meat and the rest was soup. Shinzimo immediately said unhappily, "You only gave me so little? Isn't that too little? Miss Shin, there's nothing we can do about it. You've seen it yourself. There's only so much stuff in total. We can't let you eat your fill alone while others starve, right?" Yun Chujio said helplessly. The people at the back of the line immediately began to clamor, "That's right. No one can be special. Leave immediately after you're done. We're still waiting to receive it." Shinzimo could only stand at the side, ready to see how much Yun Chujio's share was. After looking around, everyone received almost the same amount. In the end, there were still more than a dozen steamed buns left. Yun Chujio split the steamed buns into 2 and gave them to everyone. It seemed extremely fair. When everyone saw that Yun Chujio's group of 4 did not receive more than the others, and that they were busy for a while, the jealousy in their hearts dissipated a little. It seemed that the people of the Earth group were afraid that we would make things difficult for them, so they took the initiative to share the food. This was not bad. Although they were not full, they could make up for it with dry food. It was much better than beating their heads until they bled. However, Zhao Mama's eyes flashed. Although there was not much stew, there were more than 10 steamed buns missing. The 4 girls of the Earth group were really cunning. After lunch, Zhao Mama still let everyone continue to stand. 2 hours later, she released the golden spotted nether snakes again. Although everyone was still very scared, after the lesson from the morning, they all closed their eyes and gritted their teeth. Yun Chujio was the only one who stood easily. The golden spotted nether snakes were all avoiding her. Even though a few of them were chased away by Rui and climbed onto her shoes, they quickly gave up and crawled towards the others. Zhao Mama couldn't help but wonder, could it be that this Lin Chuchu had a poison that allowed the snakes to hide? Zhao Mama specially sent a message to the guard who was training the snakes to come over. She said to the guard, "Why aren't these snakes approaching that Lin Chuchu? Why don't you ask him what's going on?" The guard established a spiritual connection with a golden spotted nether snake. "Why don't you attack that little girl?" The golden spotted nether snake trembled slightly as it said, "How should I put it? The way this little girl looks at me is similar to how I look at my prey. It seems like there's still saliva dripping from her mouth. I feel that if I don't leave now, she will swallow me alive." The guard established a spiritual connection with the other golden-spotted nether snakes and received the same answer. They all felt that the little girl was going to swallow them alive, so they all cowered. The guard was dumbfounded. What kind of joke was this? This Lin Chuchu isn't a demonic beast. How could he swallow you alive? After the guard told Zhao Mama the information he got, Zhao Mama was also dumbfounded. She didn't expect it to be for this reason. Could it be that she liked to eat snake meat very much? Zhao Mama recalled the matter of lunch distribution and came to a conclusion in her heart. This Lin Chuchu was a glutton. No one was deducted points for the afternoon training. Zhao Mama's expression became a little better. Not bad. You guys have improved, but tomorrow's training will be even more interesting. You guys wait and see. Dismissed. Everyone stood there for a whole day. Although they were cultivators, their backs were sore and they couldn't wait to return to their rooms to rest. When the 4 of them returned to the dormitory, Zhou Yinghan immediately went to Yun Chujio's side. "Chujio, how much food did you hide?" Yun Chujio gave Mo Wanwan a look. Mo Wanwan stood at the door to keep watch. Yun Chujio took out about 20 steamed buns and a pot of stewed meat from her storage ring. Zhou Yinghan said in surprise, "Chu-chu, there were a lot of steamed buns, so they didn't notice that there was less. However, I didn't see that there was less stewed meat in the pot. How did you do it?" Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth. "After I took the meat out, I mixed a pot of hot water into it." Lu Qin and Zhou Yinghan. Zhou Yinghan slapped her thigh. "Fuck. No wonder I felt that the stewed meat was a little light." After Yun Chujio and the other 3 had a beautiful meal, Zhou Yinghan asked, "Chujio, are we still doing this tomorrow?" Yun Chujio shook her head. "If we continue doing this, we will be suspected. Listen to me, we will do this tomorrow." When Zhou Yinghan and the other 2 heard this, they only had one thought in their hearts. They had actually thought that she was a kind and good girl back then. They must have been blind back then. After everyone finished their dinner and washed up, they each laid on their beds. Xiao Hanyo, who was in the spirit beast bag, asked Yun Chujio in puzzlement, "Master, you have so much food in your storage ring. Why don't you just give it to them directly?" "Tisk. You don't understand this, do you?" "Master, I naturally have a reason for doing this. If I were to give the food to them, although they might be grateful to me, it would only be a little. It's different now. Not only do I make them very grateful to me, but I also make them respect me from the bottom of their hearts. This way, I can establish my prestige in the future and make them listen to me in the future." "Master, I still don't understand. These are just 3 girls with no background. Do you need to go through so much trouble? You stupid bird. In the future, your master will be the successor of Xing and Vi. How can I not nurture a few of my own people? Although the spiritual power of these 3 people is a little low, there is a benefit. They don't have any background. Only such people will be loyal. Besides, I have always been protective of my own people. No matter what, they are my roommates. I will naturally help them soar to the sky. Xiao Hanio rolled her eyes. There was no one else who had the confidence of a black-hearted master. She had only passed the first round of the test and was already recruiting for her successor, Xing Envy. Wasn't this a little too early? Xiao Hanio was still complaining when she heard Yun Chujio continue, "Of course, that's all for the future. I'm doing this mainly to gain their trust so that I can pass the second round of the test." Xiao Hanio was so angry that it rolled its eyes. She had been lying to it for a long time, but only the last sentence was true. After Yun Chujio finished lying to Xiao Hanio, she fell asleep sweetly. The next morning, Yun Chujio still pouted and got out of bed. She washed up, put on makeup, and had breakfast. Then she went to the courtyard. Everyone had learned their lesson this time. They lined up obediently and waited. They were very nervous and did not know how Zhao Mama would make things difficult for them today. After Zhao Mama arrived, she saw that everyone was standing very obediently. She nodded slightly. "You did well this morning. From today onwards, I will teach you etiquette, which is to regulate your behavior. All of you have seen the Saintess Grace. I don't require all of you to reach the same level as the Saintess, but you must at least reach 50% of Xing Envy. After 3 days, if you don't reach Xing Envy, you will be directly eliminated. There is no need for you to take the second round of the test." Shin Zimo and the other girls from the big families had a proud expression on their faces. They had been influenced by Xing Envy's etiquette since they were young. Even if they didn't learn it, they could still reach 50% of the Saintess standards. Yun Chujio complained in her heart. Damn it, was this a talent show? And she even trained their manners? Forget it, it would not be a loss even if they learned it. She would just treat it as a bonus for acting cool in the future. Her cheap adoptive mother's every move was indeed very pleasing to the eyes. After Zhao Mama finished speaking, she began to demonstrate personally. Yun Chujio could not help but feel emotional. Needless to say, this Zhao Mama really acted like a real person. It seemed that she had received strict training in the past. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. After Zhao Mama demonstrated for a while, she got everyone to start practicing. The members of the Gold Group and the Wood Group were basically from big families, so it was very easy for them to learn. The remaining 3 groups were a little difficult to learn, especially Yun Chujio's group. Mo Wanwan, your movements are full of market spirit. You're not qualified. Lu Qin, your actions don't look like a saintess, but more like a maid. You're not qualified. Zhou Inghan, your steps are too big. Are you trying to run for your life? Lin Chujio, why are you always jumping around when you walk? You're not qualified. The other 4 groups naturally had looks of disdain and ridicule on their faces. These 4 poor girls, no matter how much they pretended, they could not change the inferiority in their bones. They were things that could not be put on the table. Actually, Yun Chujio could do what Zhao Mama said, but in order to take care of the other 3's feelings, she deliberately skipped to fail. It was lunchtime, and it was still the maid from yesterday who came to deliver lunch. Just as the maid took out the food, Mo Wanwan and Lu Qin rushed up and snatched more than 10 steamed buns each, while Yun Chujio and Zhou Inghan snatched 2 small pots of stewed meat. Everyone was stunned at first, but then they reacted and began to fight for the food. While they were fighting over the food, Yun Chujio and the other 3 had already returned to the room and were eating happily. After the scuffle, a few girls who didn't manage to get anything kicked open the door of Yun Chujio's room. Lin Chujio, why didn't you share the food today? Yun Chujio said with a puzzled look, I didn't say that I would help you share the food every day. Besides, you didn't ask me to help everyone share the food all the time, did you? Didn't Rushuang and Rui say that we can get as much as we can? What's wrong with us? The few girls were so angry that they were twitching, but they couldn't find any fault in Yun Chujio's words. Yes, she didn't say that they would continue to distribute the food today. It was our reaction that was slow, so we could only accept our bad luck. After the few girls left, Mo Wanwan and the other two gave Yun Chujio a thumbs up. This time, they took the initiative to snatch the food, and the food was enough for them to eat at least 4 meals. During the afternoon training, the Earth team was still frequently criticized. Those girls who did not manage to snatch the food were naturally mocking them. They were nothing more than good-for-nothings. Yun Chujio naturally did not mind. Mo Wanwan and Zhou Inghan were also passable. Only Lu Qin's eyes were red. It was obvious that she could not take it anymore. It was not easy for them to hold on until the time for them to disperse. Everyone returned to their dormitories. Zhou Inghan sighed. Damn it. This old lady can't even learn how to walk in a bashful manner. I'm afraid that I'm going to be eliminated. Forget it. In any case, I originally thought that it was unlikely for me to win. So be it if I'm eliminated. Mo Wanwan also sighed. That's right. We really can't compare to those who came from big families. They've accepted this since they were young. How can we possibly learn it in 3 days? Lu Qin's tears fell. She said with a little choked-up voice, "This is the first time I've been called a fool. I was clearly thinking well in my mind, but once I made it, it wasn't like that. It seems that we can only be eliminated." Yun Chujio smiled crisply. Do you really think so? Mo Wanwan and the other two thought that Yun Chujio was most likely driven mad by the provocation. They nodded blankly. Yes, is there a problem? Yun Chujio clapped her hands and said, "That's great. Since you guys think that you will definitely be eliminated in 2 days, then don't waste your food. I'll eat these steamed buns and stewed meat myself. You guys can just eat the dry food." When Mo Wanwan and the other two heard Yun Chujio's words, they were dumbfounded. Shouldn't a normal person be encouraging and comforting them in such a situation? Not only was she not comforting and encouraging them, but she actually wanted to eat alone? This was too much. Zhou Inghan glared at Yun Chujio and said, "Chujio, even if we're going to be eliminated, it's not a waste to eat something, right?" Yun Chujio giggled. "Since you guys are going to be eliminated anyway, what's the point of eating so well? I've been implicated by the 3 of you. Shouldn't you compensate me?" "What do you mean by you've been implicated by the 3 of us? You've been criticized too, all right? You're jumping around like a grasshopper, and you still have the nerve to criticize us?" Zhou Inghan said angrily. Yun Chujio gave her a faint smile and then walked up with light steps. Zhou Inghan and the other two were instantly stunned. They did not know how to describe Yun Chujio's posture. In short, they felt that she was very good-looking. In fact, she was even better looking than what Zhao Mama had demonstrated. It was as if there was something extra. It was a natural nobility. It was as if she was really the Xing V. If Zhao Mama's posture was 5 points like Xing V's, then Yun Chujio's posture was at least 8 points like Xing V's. It was even more domineering than Xing V's. Yun Chujio was done with her posturing. She bared her little white teeth. "Did you see that? I did that during the day for the honor of our collective, so I hid it. Initially, I wanted to help you correct your posture, but I didn't expect that you had already given up. Moreover, you were so stingy. You really let me down." Zhou Inghan and the other two were dumbfounded. For the collective honor? It was to not make the 3 of them too embarrassed. Mo Wanwan's thoughts were more open-minded and her heart moved. She immediately said in an obsequious manner, "Choo-choo, good choo-choo, we were just grumbling just now. With such a good teacher like you around, how could we possibly fail? You'll definitely help us, right? Choo-choo is the kindest. Lu Qin, don't you think so?" Lu Qin and Zhou Inghan also reacted when they saw Wanwan winking at them, one after another. They said, "That's right, choo-choo. We're just saying. How can we give up? Choo-choo, let's eat some dry food. You can eat this stewed meat. Can you teach us how to walk after dinner?" Yun Chujio giggled. "I'm just trying to stimulate you guys. Am I the one who eats alone? Let's eat together. Well, train more after eating." When Mo Wanwan and the other two saw that Yun Chujio had agreed, they were so happy that they almost cheered. They repeatedly praised Yun Chujio, saying that she was kind-hearted and smart. Yun Chujio was secretly happy. The three little sheep really knew how to talk. However, what they said was the truth. She was originally a kind-hearted person. She was originally an intelligent person with unparalleled wisdom. Xiao Heinio, Mo. After the four of them had eaten dinner, Mo Wan and the other two impatiently asked Yun Chujio to help them train their walking manners. Yun Chujio waved her hand and said, "Actually, you all understand the gist of those actions. Do you know the reason why you failed?" Mo Wan and the other two looked at Yun Chujio blankly. "Chujio, what's the reason?" "It's because of the sense of immersion. When you walk, you have to think of yourselves as Xing and V, not Mo Wan, Lu Qin, and Zhou Yinghan. Xing and V, when you walk, do you not have confidence? Xing and V, when you walk, do you take big strides? Follow my instructions and try walking," Yun Chujio said with a smile. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Wan and the other two seemed to have realized something and began to practice. Yun Chujio simply washed up, then lay on the bed and began to read the script. As for the instructions that they had agreed on, was this a joke? Hadn't I already given them all? For a life mentor like me, one sentence could make people enlightened, and one sentence could make a lamb come back to its senses. Xiao Heinio, silence again. Mo Wan and the other two practiced in excitement. As cultivators, their body coordination was needless to say. They had already grasped the key points that Zhao Mama had mentioned, and what they lacked was the charm. With Yun Chujio's guidance, they had broken through that layer of window paper, and after practicing several times, they gradually entered a good state. Mo Wan jumped to Yun Chujio's bedside excitedly. "Chu, we did it. Thank you so much." Yun Chujio raised her head and smiled. "There's no need to thank me. Just let me eat more meat during dinner." "Chu, what are you reading? Is it interesting?" Mo Wan decided to change the topic. Then, she saw that the cover of the script was clearly written, "The story that 72 husbands and I had to tell." Her face immediately stiffened. When Yun Chujio heard Mo Wan's question about the script, she immediately became excited. She immediately sat up. "Wan, I bought this script in Forgetchuan City. It's very interesting. Do you want to read it?" "Oh, I can lend it to you first. I still have a lot of it in my storage ring. I'm telling you, as long as you read the script, I guarantee that your waist won't be sore anymore and your legs won't hurt anymore." Mo Wan's face turned red. Chu, you read it yourself. I'll go wash up." After saying that, Mo Wan rushed out of the room. Yun Chujio was stunned. Then she waved at Lu Qin and Zhou Yinghan. Wan, you guys don't need to read it. It's really interesting. I have something else here." Lu Qin and Zhou Yinghan were practicing walking just now and didn't see the script in Yun Chujio's hand. They walked over curiously. Chu, what script is this? It's so interesting." "Here, take it back and read it." Yun Chujio handed each of them a script. Lu Qin picked up the script in her hands and took a look. There were a few big words written on the cover. It was the 36 male concubines of the female emperor. She immediately stuffed the script into Yun Chujio's arms shyly. You should read it yourself. I'll go look for Wan." Zhou Yinghan looked at the book in her hands. There were 7 big words written on the cover. "All the handsome men in the world fell in love with me." Zhou Yinghan did not pass the book in her hands to Yun Chujio. Instead, she sat by the bed and said in a serious manner, Chu, although the dual cultivation method can increase your cultivation level, you shouldn't be too fierce. Moreover, if you become a saintess, I'm afraid that it's not appropriate for you to be so flirtatious." Yun Chujio only had one thought in her mind. A woman was indeed a woman. The way she thought about things was different from a cute girl. Don't worry. I'm just looking to relieve my boredom. I won't do anything rash. Do you also think that such a script is very interesting?" Yun Chujio looked at Zhou Yinghan eagerly. Zhou Yinghan shook her head. "I think that reading a script is better than cultivating or going to a trial. Read it yourself." Seeing that the three of them were not interested, Yun Chujio could not help but shake her head. She actually did not like such an interesting script. She really did not know how to appreciate it. Just like that, Yoon Chujia's image in the hearts of Mo Wanwan and the other two completely collapsed. What little fairy? This guy was a foodie, a little scoundrel, and a little pervert. The next morning, after the four of them had breakfast, Yoon Chujio called the three of them together and said a few words with a smile. The corners of Mo Wanwan and the other two's mouths twitched a little before they nodded their heads one after another. During the posture training that day, the four members of the Earth group were still called out and criticized repeatedly. The other girls were filled with disdain in their hearts. It seemed that these four people were about to be eliminated. Mo Wanwan and the other three were also dejected and looked like they had nothing left to live for. However, when the maid who delivered the lunch took out the food, the four of them were instantly revived. As they fought over the food, they shouted, "Let me tell you, we're about to be eliminated anyway. We're not afraid of anything. If you dare to fight with us, we'll fight you to the death. That's right, we're barefoot and we're not afraid of wearing shoes. We've turned our anger into appetite. If you're not afraid of being disfigured, then fight with us." Everyone was so angry that they wanted to fight with the Earth group. However, when they thought about it, the four of them were going to be eliminated. They might really have done something drastic. For the sake of a mouthful of food, there was no need to fight with them to the death. Therefore, everyone watched helplessly as the four people from the Earth group took half of the food into the house. Although everyone was so angry that they gritted their teeth, they did not want to cause trouble. They snatched the remaining half of the food. The situation on the third day was exactly the same as the situation on the second day. The four people from the Earth group were still frequently called out and criticized. Everyone gloated over the fact that the four of them were definitely going to be eliminated. There were four less competitors. This was the best thing that could happen. At noon that day, the four members of the Earth group were still like wolves, stealing half of the food. While everyone was angry, they thought to themselves, since they were going to be eliminated tomorrow, we should just endure for one more day. On the morning of the fourth day, everyone arrived at the center of the courtyard early in the morning. Yoon Chujio and the other three also arrived at the courtyard. Yo, aren't these the four good-for-nothings from the Earth group? Their ability to snatch food is pretty good, but unfortunately, their etiquette is really terrible. Didn't you see their group's name? The Earth group, they really are four country bumpkins. I guess they don't even know what etiquette is. They are really stupid and stupid. I think they will definitely be eliminated today. Yoon Chujio and the other three stood calmly as if they did not hear the discussions of the crowd. The crowd automatically understood that the four of them had lost all hope and knew that they would definitely be eliminated, so they were numb to it. After a while, Zhao Mama entered the courtyard. There was a middle-aged woman beside her. It seemed that she was a little higher than Zhao Mama, because Zhao Mama was obviously half a step behind. This is Zhao Mama. Today, she will test your etiquette. Those who fail will be directly eliminated, Zhao Mama said with a dark face. The test begins. The group will be the unit, starting from the group of gold, Yu Shuang shouted. The four people from the group of gold lined up in a row and walked leisurely, displaying the etiquette they had learned. After a moment, the four of them returned to their original positions and waited for Grandma Chi's comments. Grandma Chi said coldly, "Although you are still considered qualified, your performance also shows that you haven't practiced well in the past 3 days. You are all the legitimate daughters of big families and have received etiquette training since you were young. You just relied on your foundation and didn't improve at all." The four members of the gold group had always been proud and arrogant. Although they did not dare to talk back, they had an unconvinced expression on their faces. Nanny Chi snorted coldly. "Are you unconvinced? You know very well whether or not you have put in the effort to practice. Take care of yourselves. Next batch." You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.